You focus in your most recent column on how President Trump's notions of the use of, the perils of nuclear weapons came to be. A lot of this goes back to his uncle.
His uncle John Trump, his father's brother, who was a physicist and an engineering professor at MIT. And President Trump routinely invokes John Trump's name whenever he recalls how his own, I don't know if I would call it a philosophy, his own thoughts about nukes have evolved. He's had this sort of healthy concern about nuclear proliferation and the potential of Armageddon. That's always balanced or offset, rather, by I think his own sort of machismo and his willingness to take on a fight. He highly personalizes these sorts of events, which I think is dangerous. He is more or less wildly ignorant about most foreign affairs, and that creates a fairly caustic mix in a moment like this. And we don't know if the stories he tells about his Uncle John are authentic or not, but he's been this touchstone going back into the 1980s. In series of interviews, Trump has always said, my uncle was a nuclear expert, and he instilled in me this fear of war.
Eli, let me ask you how inchoate this policy toward North Korea is. Tim's saying there the president's thought a lot about nuclear weapons. When we look at the response to this and what his advisors are saying, do you get the sense that he has a plan going forward here, a way to get all the parties back to a negotiating table, or to do something else?
I think that he's, in the end, wants to make a deal, and as I think it was a huge mistake to tie the U.S. consequences to North Korean threats, as I wrote in my column this week. But at the same time, the idea of having the good cop of Rex Tillerson saying we have 4 no's, including no regime change, and then bad cop of James Mattis is a kind of classic negotiation strategy. It's something that Trump likes to talk about his, in his Art of the Deal and so forth. And, remember, this is the same guy who only a few months ago said he would be honored to meet with Kim Jong-un. So he has vacillated to great extremes in this regard. And I think that all of this is sort of aimed in Trump's mind. Obviously it's perilous to try to get inside of his head, but, I think he does want to sort of, cut a deal at this point. Though I do think it was a mistake to sort of make the threat to the North Koreans with regard to their rhetoric, which we can't back up and we won't.